Hey there, Mr. Witherow. This video, we are actually going to go ahead and do the reverse of the last video, and we're going to actually write piecewise functions given the graph. All right, so last time we took this and then we graphed it. Now we're going to take this and we're going to write that. All right, so we've got to come up with equations of the line and then where and which part of the lines did they give us. All right, so here we go. And we're always going to work left to right, left to right. So we're going to say, we're going to pick out our favorite letter, which would be, let's just call it f of x, or you can call it g of x, is equal to, and then you got to make a brace, right? Try your best to make the brace. So we're going to work left to right. So this is going to be our top, this is going to be our middle, and this is going to be our bottom equation. All right? So top, middle, and then the bottom equation. So let me zoom in a little bit more so we can take a look at this. All right, first things first, I would say let's go ahead and look at not the equation of the line, but let's look at the boundaries of these lines, okay? So if we look at the boundaries of these lines, it looks to me like this top line, we're at -3 here, right? We're at -3, and it goes to negative infinity. That's what this arrow says. So we are starting at -3, and we're gonna go to negative infinity. So that would tell me that x, and it's an open dot, is less than -3, right? Because that's the way that rolls. It's gonna have nothing more than -3, so all the numbers less than -3. This middle one, we have solid dots, so that tells me that we are gonna be or equal to, right? And it has a left and a right, so that's the left and the right here. So where is it at? We're at -3 here. I don't know what that is. All the way over here to 2. And then the bottom equation is the one that's from 2. Again, we have a book in here. So this is an open dot, so we know that it's less than. This is a closed dot, so it's less than or equal to. So we got 2 here, and then this then is 5. So we know that. That's what we've got. So we know the pieces of the lines. Now we have to come up with the equation of the lines. All right? So these are a little bit more challenging, right? Because we don't know where the y-intercept would be. So we have to do our best here to figure that out. So what happens here is the fact that we got to know the slope. So what is the slope? Well, it's a negative slope. It looks like we can go from this point to this point. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then back 2. So it looks like we're going to have a -3x, or 3 over 2x, right? So if we keep that pattern up, we would go down 3, 1, 2, 3, over 2, 1, 2. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, over 2, which means that it crosses here. See, this is where you're gonna have to do a little bit of investigation here. You have to just keep working with the numbers here. So if this is -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. So it looks like it's gonna cross the y-axis at -9. All right, so that's what that looks like. And then the second one is this line here. We do know the y-intercept. Well, boy, that's a tricky little y-intercept. That's 1 and that's 2, so we don't know exactly what that is, unfortunately. So, but we can guess, and that looks like it's probably 1.5, right? But how would we know? So let's look at the slope. We'd go up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a positive 1/5 x, right? So 1/5 x. So it's not going to be really 1.5. I mean, if we start playing with these numbers to figure out where this is crossing here, we could always put these numbers in. Remember that we want the y to be 0, right? So we can make that equation to be 0. Let me show you how that looks, right? So if y is 0, then we would say equals 1/5 x, we know that. And then we need to find out what b is, right? So we need to find what the b is because we can plug this in. So whatever point we want to put, well, actually that's not put 0. We know this point is the y is 1 and the x is -3, right? We know that. So now we have to do this wonderful math, and it's going to be ugly math because there's going to be fractions, but that's okay. So we say 1 is equal to -3/5 plus b. That means that we would have to add 3/5 to this. And that means we would get 1 3/5 is equal to b. So that's the y-intercept. So then we would say plus, and I don't like to write it in mixed numbers, so this would be 8/5, right? 5 times 1 plus 3, so then that's that. That one's tough. So remember that we can always just take a point. If we know the slope, right? If we know the slope, then we can change, and we can take a point, and then we can substitute that point in. This point was -3, 1. So we plugged in the 1 and we plugged in the -3. And then the last one is just a horizontal line at 5. So then we would say the last one would be 5. So that's the restriction. The restrictions are between 2 and 5, between -3 and 2, and from -3 to negative infinity. So writing piecewise functions is a little bit more challenging because with just the pieces of the graph, then you have to go find out what the equation is. All right? Let's try another one real quick. Here we go. Again, there's 3 of them. So since this is the furthest dot, this is going to be the top, this is going to be the middle, and this is going to be the bottom. All right? So let's give ourselves plenty of room here. All right, let's go ahead and just look at the restrictions. This looks like from -3 to -2, right? So we're going to say -3, and it's or equal to x, but it's open dot at -2. So we're going to leave it like that. The middle one, we're going to pick up at the -2, and we're going to have it as a or equal to, but then this is a 1. And then the last one, we're going to pick it up at 1, and both of them are solid dots. So we're going to say or equal to, and this is a 2. All right, so we've got the restrictions. So now we have to come up with the equations, right? A little bit tougher. So we know that the slope here is 1, or actually -1. So we know that this is -x, but we don't know where it's going to cross the y-axis. But if we just keep going down here, if we just keep going down this slope of -1, we would see that this crosses at 0. So actually, this one's done. This one is just simply -x. The middle one is a horizontal line at 1, so this one is 1. Remember that this is y is equal to, so since y is 1, then that's what that is. And the last one is a little bit more challenging. Let's find out what the slope is. It's a positive slope, so it's from here to here, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So we know the slope is 4, so that's 4x. But now we need to know where it crosses the y-axis. So reverse the slope here. 1, 2, 3, 4, back 1. This is where it would cross. That's -5. So we would say -5. So that's this one, and then that one's that one. I just wrote them wrong. They're a little bit challenging, but take your time on this. You can do this. You got to be able to identify which section it is, the restriction part, and then you have to be able to write the equation of the line. All right, so you got to remember how to do all of that good stuff. And I know you can do it. All right, so rewatch this if you need to, making sure that you're taking notes, making sure that you understand here, and then go from there. All right, keep having fun.